Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way next, Off 90. A Vietnam vet talks about his experiences during the war. Meet someone named Annie who directed a musical called Annie. American and Greek cuisine, along with homemade truffles, all in one restaurant. Plus, a performance by a female fusion band from Argentina. Your next stop, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this journey of Off 90. Wayne Robertson wanted to be a teacher after he graduated from college, but the U.S. government had different plans for him. Shortly after graduating from Northern Iowa University, he was drafted and served our country fighting in Vietnam. We talked to Wayne about his experiences in Vietnam and what it was like to return.
I went over there as a personnel specialist to take care of records. And about the week after I got there, I was out in the jungle walking in a patrol. And I thought, what on earth is going to happen? After high school, I went to the University of Northern Iowa at Cedar Falls. Wanted to become a teacher and a coach. And when I graduated, then I was drafted into the United States Army in May of 1967. Had my basic training at Fort Campbell, Kentucky, my advanced training at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and from there I was got leave, and then I went to Vietnam. My name is Wayne Robertson. I live in Rose Creek now. Originally, I grew up on a farm north of St. Ansgar, Iowa. I was there from October 1967 to October 1968, 1 year. We flew into Cam Ranh Bay, which is kind of towards the south end of South Vietnam. But my orders sent me to a camp called Dong Ha. It was way on the north part of South Vietnam. In fact, it was just a few miles from the DMZ, Demilitarized Zone. I was actually stationed closer to Hanoi in North Vietnam than I was to Saigon in South Vietnam. I was in automatic weapons, self-propelled. We had M42 Dusters, that's a twin 40mm gun on a small tracked vehicle, and quad 50s, four caliber machine guns on the back of a deuce and a half, 2.5 ton truck. There are a lot of things. We got hit with enemy artillery from across the DMZ almost every day. So we had a lot of incoming. And and that kind of wore on you after a while. But that's just something you had to put up with. Oh, one time at our base camp, we stored all our ammunition in one area, which was a mistake because one of the artillery shells landed in the middle of it, and we had 10 hours of explosions of artillery pieces, and so it looked like a 4th of July celebration. It made the national news back home, and we had kind of hunker down in our bunkers until that subsided. I remember the monsoons, just the terrible rains all the time, as opposed to when it wasn't the monsoons, then it was just 120, 115 degree heat all the time, just hot. My mother wrote me a letter every day. Every day I was there in Vietnam for 1 year. And then after I was there a few months, she had heard that some people were getting reel-to-reel tape recordings from their soldiers over in Vietnam, so she sent me a small tape recorder reel to reel, and I started sending tape recordings home, and then she would tape over them and send them back. And so that was a nice way to communicate. My mother could actually hear my voice, and that meant a lot to her, because a few years before I went, my father had an accident and died, and he said he was afraid that after I got out of college I would be drafted and go to Vietnam and I might not make it back. And so that was, that kind of wore on my mother. But when she could hear my voice, it meant a lot to her. Got shot at many times. I was standing in lunch line one day to eat a noon meal, and an artillery round landed about 30, 40 feet away, and the guy in front of me got hit with shrapnel, and the guy behind me got hit with shrapnel. So I know I had some people praying for me at home. That was wonderful to get back. Flew out of Cameron Bay again, and I flew into Minneapolis, Minnesota. My mother, my brother Gary, my sister Judy, and their families, what they had with them, and they met me there, and that's nobody else. There was nobody protesting or something. We just gave each other a hug. We got in the car and drove home. We were just glad to be home, and we just kind of filtered into society and got jobs, and nobody said anything or talked about the war, at least not where we were in the Midwest. I'm glad to be an American. At the time, Vietnam was a very unpopular war, but there's a certain pride in serving your country. I was proud to have served, and I'm just proud of this country. Young people, older people, middle-aged people come up, shake our hand, say thank you for your service. And that means a lot to us and my fellow soldiers or fellow friends who were in the military. It means a lot. Just a simple thank you.
Annalynne Cammer has always been interested in performing on stage. Next to family, it's her greatest passion. Lately, she's been branching out from acting to directing. She got her chance when the Rushford Area Society of the Arts offered her the opportunity to direct their production of the musical Annie.
And then she does, yeah, so I thought we could go.
I like the getting to be a different person, so you get to kind of experience a whole different life without really having to go through the trials and stuff of actually having that life, but you get to experience it and escape your own world and be in a different world. My name is Annalynne Cammer, and I'm the director of RASA Summer Musical Annie, which is the last production in this theater here. RASA, it stands for Rushford Area Society of the Arts, so it is the community theater program. RASA has put on a play for Rushford Days, I think for over 30 years. The play is extremely important to the people of Rushford, and it's also very important that they have a family-friendly play, so it can appeal to all ages. The play is Annie, and it is based on Little Orphan Annie, and it was actually originally a comic strip making fun of politics, and it's developed into this fun musical where this little orphan gets adopted by a billionaire. I heard that they were looking at doing a family-friendly musical here in Rushford, and they didn't have a director for it, so somebody kind of mentioned my name, and so I reached out to who the president of RASA is and met with them all, and they contracted me to do it, so I was very excited. I think I got the acting bug when I was 5 years old. For our school kindergarten play, my mom worked really, really hard with me, so I do a good job, and I've pretty much loved it ever since. So I kind of kept acting from 5 years old on, and then when I went to school for theatrical arts. So that's what I graduated with for a 4-year degree. As I was studying the play and thinking through characters, of the looks of different characters that I would want, my good friend came to mind from, and Jesse, and he lives in Portland, Oregon. And so almost as like a half joke, I messaged him and said, hey, you should totally come to Rochester and play Rooster for me. And I expected his response to be, oh yeah, I know, wouldn't that be so cool? I wish we lived closer. And instead his response was, absolutely I will. And I was like, yes. So that was how that came to be, and I was very excited about that.
And you, don't let me ever hear that you run away from this nice lady.
What? But she's not.
Good afternoon.
The play Annie is extremely important to me because I grew up on Annie, and I always loved the story. I loved the music a lot. I liked how much dancing they incorporated into the movies and the plays, and so that's kind of why I've always wanted to bring it to life in my own way and actually do the play. And also Lily St. Regis is one of my top characters I've always wanted to play, so I'm very excited and honored to get to do that. Okay, well, my character is Lily St. Regis, and well, originally she's kind of written to be a blonde bimbo, but I really wanted to add a little bit more character to her, and so I'm playing her a little bit, maybe not the brightest bulb in the shed, but she's very much in, her and Rooster are very much a team, a con artist team, and so that's kind of more how I'm portraying her.
Good, and then you'll just kind of everybody file off stage.
Well, okay, directing and performing in the play as well is a challenge because you have to kind of almost split your brain, so you're thinking about the directing side of it and how it looks, but you also need to be immersed into the character. So it's definitely a challenge, not one that I will do a ton, but I definitely wanted to for this production so that I could do it all.
Okay guys, we're tearing down this pile.
I've been preparing for this play since about November. Well, kind of throughout that time, I watched a lot of YouTube videos of how other theaters have put on the production and kind of took note of what I liked, what I didn't like, how I would want to make it my own, and had an idea of how I wanted the set to be, the schedule, the looks of the characters I wanted, and costumes. So I kind of just tried to have everything in order, so when we had auditions, I'd have as much ready as possible. So my life has been very crazy because I'm a single mom and I have a 4.5-year-old little boy.
Where are the stage kids?
They're not here yet. Oh, I love your outfit. Come here.
They're not here yet?
Which keeps me on my toes as it is. I have a full-time job at Mayo and then also doing this, which to me is kind of a full-time job, acting and directing. And plus I live in Rochester and this is in Rushford, so the travel time. And so my days usually consist of about 16-hour days and very little sleep and lots of energy drinks. My son is playing the part of Sandy in the play The Dog, and he has been looking forward to that for over a year. He's wanted to be in a production, and he actually worked on his part by tying himself up to a leash and barking at cars as they drove by.
Yay! Good job, buddy. I'm so super duper proud of you.
What did I do?
You were a really good actor.
So about a week ago, I severely injured my back at work. So that has been a huge challenge because I'm in pain a lot, and I can't all the time walk upright, and so having to deal with that pain and the physical limitations, yet trying to act and be a mom has definitely been a challenge. I am very much looking forward to opening night for the performance aspect of it. But like I said earlier, we have a long ways to go, and so I'm very thankful that we still have 2 weeks before opening night. But I'm also very thankful right now we pretty much have the whole thing choreographed and all the dances taught, so with my injury I don't have to still teach dancing. I can just perfect it. Well, one aspect about this play that I am very proud of is as it's coming together and as I'm watching it, I can see how it's very obvious that I put my spin on it, and I'm very excited for people to see that and be like, yes, that is Anna, that is an Anna production.
Empty belly life. Red Sally life. Full of sorrow life. No tomorrow life.
Everything around me is little. If I bring a little next, surely I would get an acquittal.
I'm incredibly proud of the first performance. I don't think the cast could have done a better job, actually.
The sun will come out tomorrow, so you gotta hang on to tomorrow. Come what may.
I always have dreams. In a perfect world, I'd love to be in a Hollywood blockbuster film, but right now I just keep everything as a hobby, and I'm focusing on raising my son properly and providing for him. So if the opportunity came about, absolutely I would be right there.
I'm a coming mama!
And scene.
Come for the meal and stay for the candy at Costas Candies and Restaurant. Costas has been a downtown Owatonna institution since 1919. You'll find fare in both American and Greek styles. We stopped in to experience the small town local cafe and the friendly atmosphere of Costas.
Yes, I have dreams about chocolate.
I'm Grant Schultz. This is my wife, Julie, and you're here with us at our restaurant, Costas Candies and Restaurant in Owatonna.
Grant takes care of the process of making all the candy. It's all handmade, from the rolling and the cutting and the dipping. We wrap it all. Everything is done by hand. A 3-day process for most of our candies. Some of our equipment is the same equipment that's been used here since 1920. The limestone table, the big copper pot where the caramel is all cooked every night. You can sit here, but I got to clear it for you. We took over October 1st, 2009 from the Costas Busalis family. So their family had been here 3 generations.
I've been coming here since I was this tall.
Started in 1919, and it was kind of like the local grocery store, like deli. And they added the candy within the first year. But someone did show us a picture of a gravel road, out in front of our store here, because we've always been in the same location.
Tuesday noons, we like going to Costas. I meet my wife here, and we chat and catch up on the day, and always run into half a dozen people we know and want to talk to, so it's a perfect crossroads here.
Our most popular lunch item would for sure be a gyro. Can't come to a Greek restaurant and not eat a gyro. After that, it's a bacon cheeseburger.
And fries and malt.
The restaurant won an award for the best chili in Owatonna, and it absolutely is. So I have a bowl of chili on cold days like this. I get mine with a little heat on the side because I like it hotter than most people.
So Cheryl, our main waitress, she has been here since before we started, and she's been a waitress her whole life.
When we hire new people, we introduce them to Cheryl, and I say, watch how Cheryl does it, listen to what she says, because she's the best waitress you're ever going to work with.
Some of our restaurant customers that are regulars, they walk in the door, and our waitress and our cooks already know what they want before they don't have to place their order even. And the same with some of our candy customers.
Half of the candy we make in a year goes out the front door between Thanksgiving and Christmas.
For candy season, Grant puts in anywhere from 90 to over 100 hours a week. making candy, and then I'm here 40 to 60 hours a week, plus we have 4 kids.
Yeah, I worked here for 12 years. It was good. It was fun. Wrapping candies and waitressing.
And I finally got those two.
People tell us that they keep coming back here for years and years and generations after generations because of the small town family atmosphere here. And the friendliness of the staff and the care we take with all of our customers and calling them by name and knowing what they like, whether it's the candy or the restaurant portion.
The restaurant business kind of feeds off of the other business that's going on downtown. It's kind of that, oh, let's go out to get something to eat or for lunch. You know, get more people walking around is better for everything. And these old downtowns, it's a struggle sometimes to get people down here.
Google Maps and TripAdvisor have greatly helped people traveling the interstate find us. We always get people in here that say, oh, I just found you traveling through looking for a local diner to eat at. Wrapping candy during this time of the year, there's always someone, 40 hours a week, someone is wrapping candy. We've now shipped to all 50 states, and I think we're up to 20 countries, and that's without an online store. We haven't started an online store because we're at capacity. We physically can't produce any more candy than we're producing right now because of the 2-month shelf life. You lose a lot by having a factory-made chocolate. It's never gonna taste the same. It's not gonna be as fresh. It's not gonna be Costas.
Go to Costas and get a half pound of candy or pound of candy, and you're going to be a hero wherever you go.
Femina is a fusion rap group led by 3 Patagonian women, characterized by the rhythm of poetry, the combination of musical styles, and vigor of their live performances. We were fortunate to catch a performance by these tres mujeres encantadores at the Rochester Library.
Desde coro ignoro, el coro en realidad si demuestro mi modo, si lo escondo entre los hombros, mi dolencia, lo escondo entre los hombres, la tontalidad viene de herencia, mil caras me miran, mil caras, como si me entrevistaran, preguntarán, ¿qué me escucharán? Dolencia de un bacán, macanas, macanas, un falso, un balbucear sin nada, una mirada y un escudo de escuadrón, sobrepasando el horizonte de tus límites, con guerra y estrategia, y viente el maricón, pero fuerte el fértil, que se regala en lo más sutil, más alineada esta compadrona, puedo referirme a mí, claro que sí, si yo no me pianto por un pueril. Se dice de mí, y se dice de mí, se vive mi ser exhibir. Desnuda ante ti, si soy yo, si fui así como así, yo soy así. Yo soy así. Yo soy así. Yo soy así. Fresca y ornamentada reina los ruidos, la boca barrida, borrado el bajo suspiro, el rezo, el ramo seco, saca su pecho y lo muestra en concierto. ¿Ves cómo se trace la audiencia? Laten con fuerza los tímpanos, su lengua roja segmentos, fragmentan frases, sus pensamientos, alma de viento. ¿Ves? Contenta. ¿Ves? Con cierta timbre ajeno, el ajeno de algunos propio, el agujero resuelto en lo obvio, un robo, un novio, la necedad de borrarse en otro, la carencia refleja hielo, el objeto quieto, la vanidad, su reto, página incompleto, encuentro
We've reached the end of this episode's tour Off 90. Thanks for riding along. See you next time, Off 90.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.